Hello, my name is Tyler Gallas. I am currently the physical education teacher at Coyote Ridge Elementary School. I am also a varsity football coach as well as a varsity track and field coach for Mountain Range High School, which is located in Westminster, Colorado. I did my practicum experience at Mountain Range High School, which is a part of the Adams 12 five-star school district. We play 5A football. We are part of the Front Range League. Our mission as a team is a Mustang football player will develop characteristics of emotional maturity, responsibility, leadership, goal setting, being a team player, cooperation, valuing rules, dealing with adversity, and creating a strong work ethic. We get our funding, because we are a public school, we get most of our funding through the government and through Title IX. So much of the money is allotted to our school and then broken up into each individual athletic program. However, we do have a booster club, and through this booster club, we raise a lot of money doing different types of fundraising throughout the calendar year that helps us outfit our players in the equipment necessary that they need to perform and play this game safely. My site supervisor was Coach Troy Lohmeyer. Before coaching, Coach Troy Lohmeyer was an officer in the United States Air Force as an F-16 pilot, as well as a tactical air combat control assigned to the 82nd Airborne Infantry Division. After that, he then decided to go into sales as he spent 5 years at the Home Depot, and then he finally worked as a software sales manager for a local company that provided military customers and contractors with enterprise-wide software to assist in managing their business. For the Mountain Range football program, Coach Lohmeyer is actually the in-building head coach. We're in a unique situation where our head coach, he's out of building, and Coach Lohmeyer serves as the in-building head coach, where he handles all the players and takes on more of an administrative role with the players in the building. He is in his 7th year of coaching. He spent about 2 or 3 years coaching at Thornton Junior Football League, and from there he went on to coach at the freshman level at Mountain Range and followed them up to JV, and now has spent the last 3 years at the varsity position. He handles the running backs primarily. He works with our running backs to hone their skills, understand and know the different offensive philosophies and what we're trying to accomplish as an offense. One of the biggest parts of his job is he handles all the video and communication for the team. I don't know if you guys know about our Huddle software, and we'll get through there later in the presentation, but it's a video review process, and it involves uploading a lot of film to the program, as well as sharing it to different players, coaches, as well as getting our competitions game film for us to review on a weekly basis. Prior to this practicum experience, I really focused on the areas of growth that I think I needed to demonstrate with my coaching. And one of the biggest things was focusing on how much positive feedback and positive coaching that I was giving each and every one of my players, especially the players within my group, on a daily basis. One of my long-term goals is to actually be a head football coach for a Colorado high school program. With that, I wanted to shadow Coach Lohmeyer and listen and learn how he communicates with players, parents, as well as the administration. Throughout the season, we have different apparel needs that must be attended to, such as practice jerseys, as well as we have spirit packs where the kids get a couple shirts and a couple shorts that they use when they're working out in the weight room, and all of that needs to be ordered, and sizes need to be collected, as well as money needs to be handled. On a weekly basis, I wanted to focus on assisting the offensive coordinator as we prepare for the next week's opponent. That's a lot of practice and game planning, and I really wanted to focus on the run game. As a wide receiver coach, I do primarily focus on the pass game, but for my overall goal to be a head football coach, I must be an offensive coordinator first, so I really need to learn the ins and outs of the offensive line as well as what it is that the running backs and quarterbacks focus on each and every play. And then I really wanted to focus on my individual communication with each athlete. You know, how am I getting to know them as people? How am I getting to know their wants and their needs? And am I showing and demonstrating enough empathy to allow them to feel like they can make mistakes and not have that fear of failure? Just some of my practicum goals. I really believe that it was a successful experience, and through my reflection process, I was able to grow as a coach. On a daily basis, I work with a group of wide receivers. These are both outside and inside receivers. I also coordinate the varsity special teams, so I create the special teams depth chart as well as coordinate all our special teams plays. I work with the OC in creating daily and weekly practice and game plans. We look at each opponent and we decide where the attacking points are going to best fit our offense, and we figure out how to capitalize on their formations to allow us to gain as much success as possible. And then when necessary, I handle the coaches and team apparel needs. However, this is primarily an off-season activity. During the regular season, I have all of this handled for that year. Everything that we do as a coaching staff is shared through Google Drive. So all of our coaches have the opportunity throughout each day to go up and move to the different sheets and make sure that their assignments are completed for that day's practice. This is my special teams depth chart. As you can see, it is broken down into different teams. In each team has its own section as well as backups. This is actually one of the pieces artifacts that I would carry with me on game night, and then I would use in a split-second decision if I needed to add or take out anybody from the depth chart. I have it right there with me. Again, this is another sheet on Google Docs. Is our daily practice plan. Each position coach is responsible for going in and filling out their section. Making sure that they have looked at film prior to filling out the practice plan so they know exactly what it is that they need to work on for that week's practice. I'm in charge of the wide receivers, so I fill out the wide receiver section as well as making sure that everybody knows which special teams that we will be running and practicing for that day. This is our video review software Huddle. Just about every football program, high school and above in the nation probably runs through Huddle. It's a great tool that we use to communicate with our players on a daily basis, as well as review opponent game film, as well as analyze our previous game film and practice film. Every night I can go up and look at the previous day's practice. Maybe we're doing a 7-on-7 and I wanted to look at all of our different routes, so I can go and make edits and then share those out to the individual players so they know exactly what to look for the next day. I use this a lot too on their weekly goals. They have to go back through their game film and pick 10 plays and analyze themselves, and then I'll go back through and look at what they had said and give them some positive feedback, and also go ahead and look for some mistakes that they did make so we can correct those errors for the next week. This would be an example of a play that we would run depending on the week. I would show this slide to my players on our Monday classroom meeting time. I would show this slide as well as show the routes out of different formations. We would go through and ask questions and look at different coverages and talk about how we're going to run the routes based on the defense. And then I would have an opportunity to be on the whiteboard where I would just show the blank offense, and different receivers would come up and they would draw their routes as well as change their routes depending on the defense. So it's a great tool. I use PowerPoint a lot with my coaching. It's easy to hold a lot of information as well as add and delete different plays that you're going to use on a weekly basis. This would be a slide that I would use for our special teams. This one is punt specific, so it gives the responsibilities of each player on the punt team. I would show this as a whole team. At the beginning of the year, we showed this, and then we'd have each individual player try to play in all the different spots, and from there we use that information to create our depth chart, just to give them again that visual to what they're going to do out on the field. Trying to hit all different types of learning styles. I use the same PowerPoint format for a lot of my drills. This particular drill is a blocking progression. Definitely want to go ahead and put up the objective for them, and then start breaking down the drill in different sections, so that way when we get back up to the football field after I've installed this in the classroom, we can get right to our spots and get going. Just minimal amount of talking on the field. That way I can have a lot more time for demonstration and feedback while they're running the drill through our short individual periods each day. On a weekly basis, I'm not only going to challenge my wide receivers on a physical level, but I'm also going to challenge them on an intellectual level. This was our Week 7 goal sheet when we played Fairview High School out of Boulder, Colorado. It was a very good quality team, and I wanted my players to be mentally prepared to play a very tough opponent. So they would have to have this. I would assign this to them on a Saturday, and they would have to have it completed to me prior to practice on Monday. And then Monday during our meeting time, I would review different areas of their goal sheet, and I would talk about different things that they would have to have similar to each other's, as well as if I saw something that stood out with their goals, I would share that as a group, or I would talk to that individual player and talk about different ways and strategies that we can go to meet their goals on a weekly basis. One of the biggest things that I gained from this practicum experience is I learned all the duties of a head football coach, the ins, the outs, the communication, the process, everything outside of actually coaching that a head coach needs to be able to do, and how organized a head football coach needs to do to be able to run 3 levels of play. Another thing is working the apparel for the team. I was able to be in contact with a lot of local distributors. Many of them are very loyal and true to what they say as far as being able to get the apparel to you when they say they're going to do it, and others make you feel good. However, they are just not there for you and your team. And just learning how to communicate with people and giving them exactly what you want and explaining your standards and what it's going to take on their part for you to work with them and go through them to get your apparel needs. Learning how to use positive feedback and positive coaching in a variety of ways. One of the biggest ways I did that was through my weekly goals, allowing the kids the opportunity to share something positive about themselves and not only see what they're doing well at, but ways they can improve and be realistic about their skills and their abilities. Providing opportunity for peer feedback, where they can go and analyze their peers and not only learn what their friends and their teammates can do better, but really show their understanding of what they're supposed to do through that feedback. And then self-evaluation. Most of the time my athletes were way too hard on themselves. So when I would go back through and comment on their huddle playlist that they would share with me, most of the time I would bring them back up because they were way too hard on themselves. So really applying that positive feedback when one of my athletes may or may not have felt very negative about themselves. And then the biggest thing is in the high school game, you have to be able to match the offensive game plan to fit your personnel. Without the aspect of recruiting, we have to change our way of looking and viewing how to run the offense or even a defensive scheme based on who we have and what they do best. Some accomplishments that I believe that I gained from this practicum experience include building lasting relationships with my players. My players and I, especially my wide receivers, very tight group. We trust one another. We believe in one another. They will do anything for me, as well as they know that I would do anything for them to allow them to feel successful, not only on the football field, but they know that I would be there for them in the classroom, as well as, with any problems that they may feel that they can open up to me and I can help them within their lives. Continuing to motivate and see results late in the season was difficult this year based on our record and our scores of most games. Continuing to push them and motivate them and finding little things to allow them to feel successful was definitely a challenge. I believe that I grew in my transformational leadership. I learned different ways to communicate different character traits that I feel that are very important, not only in athletics but in everyday life. Being able to learn and understand a new blocking and offensive scheme was very valuable to me as I approach trying to find an offensive coordinating position, as well as continuing to push myself to one day reach my goal of being a head football coach. Giving autonomy to my receivers was very valuable. Many times I would have them actually go on YouTube and find different drills, and that would force them to look at their play, figure out what it is that they need to get better at. And with a drill that they get to create, they were just so motivated to push themselves and work hard, and I thought that was huge to allow them that freedom. And the results that I gained from that, I'm going to continue to use that strategy in the future. Opening up my personality. Many times earlier in my career, I would be more of that really hard-going coach. This is how we're going to do it. We're not going to stray off from that. And I changed. I definitely opened up my personality. I like to be funny. I like to make jokes. I like to enjoy my time with my athletes. And this year I really learned how to do that and held them to high standards. One of the main things that I benefited from this Practicum experience was just being able to increase the amount of positive coaching based on weekly and daily reflections. Another thing is that I do now know and understand the different expectations of a head coach, as well as learning a new offensive strategy was very beneficial to my future coaching experiences and where I want to go with my offensive philosophy. It's a skill that you have to practice, and that's communicating with parents and administration, knowing how to empathize and sympathize with what they were thinking and what they wanted to see and their point of view, and then being able to fall back on your philosophy and how you experience things and what you want to see out of their athlete, or when talking to administration, coming and being on the same page and learning how we can work together to give what's best for these young athletes. And communication with my own athletes or individual groups, spending time with each and every one of them on a daily basis, learning about them as people, learning about how and what I need to do as their coach to get them to play in the best way they can. Throughout this master's program, I think the class that I learned the most from is our methods of coaching class. Within that class, I really learned the importance of positive coaching and everything that it can benefit within your players. Their attitudes, the fact that they do not have a fear of failure. With the power of positive coaching, I also began to understand the differences between a transformational coach and a transitional coach, and I do strive to be a transformational coach. I definitely want to learn and grow those relationships with my players, as well as teach them the character traits necessary to be a successful young man once they leave the football field. Although the statistics class was very challenging, I do not see myself using it within my athletes and within my athletic programs. For most of the time, our data collection really consists of pre- and post-test data. We could measure that data and see where we're growing. However, We're just really looking at pre and post test and seeing how much they grow, typically from the spring to the fall time right before season. Thank you for your time, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation of my practicum experience at Mountain Range High School as a varsity football coach, specializing in the wide receivers and also coordinating the special teams.